Everybody, it's Stan. I don't have a lot of time. I got 15 minutes on this video, so I'm going to talk fast. I wanted to get this out because somebody asked for it. This is about thiol intolerance. Okay, these are foods that are sulfur-based foods, and when we eat them, they cause detox symptoms or redistribution symptoms, and we often don't feel very well. Up here is my disclaimer. You can read through that. Here's my website. You can subscribe. I cover these in every video. The stuff in the yellow here, it's just general comments about where I start with most people, regardless of what they've done in the past. So you can stop the video and read through that. You can also stop the video and read through the thiol list when I get there. Again, talking very fast. So see the list of high and low thiol foods. There are high thiols and low thiols, meaning could be very reactive to you or less reactive to you. They're sulfur-based. They attach to the metals and they move the metals around inside, causing something called redistribution. Redistribution is bad. Try to avoid it. Oral chelation causes redistribution. So be careful on that. You could be sensitive to some of these or a mix of them or the total load that you may eat. For example, I ate garlic cloves at one time. One day I decided to eat one more than usual, and I had very bad redistribution detox symptoms for like 12 hours after. So in my opinion, I kind of hit a load level that was more than my body could handle at the time, and I really whacked myself out. To me, there's no magic answer as to which ones you may be tolerant to. We're all different. That's true about everything about this. What bothers me a lot of times is they'll say our diets are what's causing us to be sick, and it's all about diet. But consider it's in many cases the thiol foods that are moving the metals around inside of us when we eat, and that's what's making you feel crappy. Can anyone really say exactly what will affect each of us based on our toxic metal level and how sensitive we might be? Be very careful what people tell you to do. So it's not the diet per se, it's the fact that we have metals in us that cause the foods we eat to bond with the metals and cause the bad symptoms. So why would a doctor not know this? My thiol intolerance went away after I removed all my amalgams, and within about 2-3 months I really started getting back to normal. It was like that quick, like the switch going off. Okay? Getting back to what people recommend, I got very sick one time trying chlorella. I read a lot about it online. Everybody said, oh, it's the greatest way to detox. So I found out later, it's a very strong natural chelator. So how can anyone who was ever toxic recommend this? That just blows my mind when I see people talk about it. Then when I question them a little bit, I kind of start to realize they really don't know anything about toxicity. They're just out there trying to sound like they know something, and everybody wants to help everybody, but this is not something to fool around with. When I did react to chlorella, I literally ended up in the emergency room. I had heart palpitations all over the place. Blood pressure was sky high. I was dizzy. I was disoriented. I was woozy. I felt like I was floating around. I can go on and on with many of the symptoms, but be very, very careful, especially if you don't know what this is all about. Then you go to the ER, they don't know what's going on. They don't think about heavy metals. They don't think about thiols. They don't know really any of this stuff. Notice in the list the drugs and supplements that act as thiols, so be careful. I personally cannot take many antibiotics due to the sulfur that's in them, so that's something else. The body's natural detox is sulfur-based, so that's where this whole sulfur connection comes from. So now I'm just going to go to the list. I got this list from a very good source a few years ago. I literally typed it all down because the website disappeared, and that's the only way to copy it. But you can see high thiols. It's many, many, many foods. I mean, things you probably love to eat: broccoli, and cabbage, and cauliflower, and chocolate, coffee, collard greens, eggs, dairy products, garlic, like I mentioned, green beans. Greens in general are very thiol-based, sulfur-based. They're good for detox. Like kale is good. You'll see a lot of people suggesting these things in detox little cocktails and stuff. But the reality is, if you're sensitive, too much of this stuff can really make you sick. Okay, so you could pause the video. I'm going through all these. I want to make sure I show you all of them before I run out of time. I'm up to 5 minutes, and I got 10 minutes to go. Whey, I took whey one time. I read it. It was a great building block for, I forget it exactly what, but I tried it and I got very, very sick. So, not good. Um, let's see, watch for foods that have garlic and onion powder in them. Processed foods, be very careful. Hot dogs. Meat is high in sulfur, but most people tolerate it due to the low thiol level, and depends on how sensitive you might be. Um, let me just correct some of these things as we go here. Um, supplements that are high in sulfur and thiol groups. ALA, alpha-lipoic acid, it's a chelator people use a lot, and it's in health foods, like 300 milligrams. I could not take 1 milligram when I was very sensitive. I could not imagine taking 300 milligrams. And even to this day, when I feel very, very well, I would be very, very careful about taking a high dose of this stuff, just because I know what 1 milligram was doing. I can tolerate much more than that now, but I've never pushed it to see how far I can go. Again, chlorella, DMSO, which is chelator, glutathione. People suggest taking it all the time. Not necessarily the best way to take it. You should probably take things that make your body make more glutathione. NAC is a supplement. I could not tolerate it when I was pretty toxic. Now I can take it no problem. Turmeric I couldn't tolerate before. Now I take it quite often. It's a nice anti-inflammatory. Let's see. Let's go down the list here. Foods that are low in thiols. You can see these are all, foods we all take pretty commonly: avocado, and apples, and bananas, and bacon. Beer is actually a chelator to some degree. Let's see. I'm just going to keep going through the list here. Still got 8 minutes, so I guess I talked fast enough to get this in. Again, just pause the video and look at these things and write them down. And one thing I didn't mention is a thiol exclusion type diet. The idea to find out what you're really sensitive to is, cut out all your foods and then add in some of these things that might be on the list that you're eating a lot of, and see if it makes you feel crappy. And if it does, then you know that's something you don't want to eat or eat as much of, or be careful how much you eat. Okay. I never did the full exclusion diet. I was so sensitive to so many things. At one point, all I could really eat was broth. That was really about it at one point. A lot of people say, "What am I going to eat?" Oh my God, well, you can either eat stuff that make yourself feel bad all day long, which is what I was doing. I mean, every time I ate a meal, I felt terrible. And by the time I sort of settled down from that, I would eat another meal and feel terrible again. So it's constantly kicking this stuff up inside of me and redistributing it. And I felt terrible like all the time until I realized the concept of, thiols and what they were and what the foods were. And then I got the list and I started being careful. Now, I'm probably like most of you out there, it's very hard to cut out everything that we like out of our diet. So I still ate some of these things. I love onions, and I love different things, and I just paid the price when I ate them. But many of you, this is a good thing to try to understand. Many of you may be very, very sensitive that you can hardly eat anything, and others may be just sensitive to, onions or garlic or cilantro or whatever. I mean, that's another one people talk about a lot, cilantro. So getting near the end here, again, long list, and a lot of people say, well, that's everything I eat. And yes, that's probably everything we eat. So looks like I'm at the end of the list. So I hope that was helpful to present the list to you. Again, I got it from a good source, from another very reputable, well-known detox group. They took it off their website. I had a copy, so I just retyped it all. Maybe it's not a perfect list, but I think the main takeaway here is to realize that a lot of what we eat can be making us sick every day when we have metals. And then what happens is you detox and your total metal load goes down. You start becoming more tolerant to this stuff. When you have high metals in you, it deranges your minerals. You have something called mineral derangement. So your body's not really functioning normally. And all of that corrects itself as you get the metals out of you, particularly mercury, which is my main thing I talk about a lot. I don't talk about each individual metal, like how do you get rid of this one or that one. Mercury is kind of like, in my opinion, one of the worst. It's ruthless, it's brutal, it's rotten. Um, Mercury holds other metals inside of us. So I focused on mercury. I had amalgams, I got rid of them. Once I did that, the mercury started coming out. I started to dump naturally. And then there's other information that says things like aluminum will come out natural when the mercury comes out. And that's generally what I found to happen. Like, I focused on mercury and everything else sort of fixed itself. I feel very good right now. I have felt good for probably after the first 3 years of detoxing, after the metals were removed or the amalgams were removed. I still, like literally 5, 6 years later, I'll find that I feel better, like a little bit more better in some cases. Like I sweat more normally. So again, everybody's different. I don't know the exact answer for everybody or even myself. I was never toxic before, and there's no book I can go read on how to detox myself. So, does it take 4, 5, 6 years? It may. I had kidney issues at one point, so are my kidneys more damaged than most people, and they take longer to heal? That's the worst part about this. I'll leave you with this thought. Whatever you do, do not delay addressing this situation. If you have amalgams, get them out of your mouth. The longer you delay, in my opinion, the harder it's going to be to deal with it, the harder to detox, the more potential damage that's being done to your body. And again, I'm talking from my experience. I don't have factual, scientific evidence that we're damaged, but I can tell you that in all the things I've been through, I wonder, am I permanently damaged in some ways? And other people I've met out there that are like me, that were toxic for 40 years, they say the same thing. They're still trying to detox, trying to get every symptom right again. It's very, very bad situation. My chelation doctor often said low levels over a long period of time are worse than high acute poisoning. And I totally agree with that. So keep that in mind in how you approach this. I hope this is helpful. Please like and comment and leave questions. The more we comment and discuss, other people will see it and will help somebody. And I really hope all this comes to an end someday in the world when all this stuff is no longer allowed. Okay, there's some new things that have come out. Maybe I'll do a video on that next. The FDA and people like that, new information that's easing towards making it really become obvious that this is not good stuff. A reveal of truth, some admissions of the reality, where the one article I read literally says, amalgams do give off vapor. Okay, many years they argued that they don't, and now they're putting in writing that they do. So, okay, take care, and hope this is helpful.